Ronnie and I got married, and he lived in Manor. He had a house in Manor, and we needed a house in the Austin Independent School District for my son. And at that time, I was going through breast cancer treatment, and we wanted to keep him in the same school system so that things wouldn't change for him, more things wouldn't change for him. We wanted to keep his life as normal as possible. We didn't have a house yet when Ronnie's house sold, and so I was curious as to what was going to happen to us. And so our agent told us that she would guarantee a lease back into the contract, that the person who purchased Ronnie's house could lease the house back to us until we found a home. This is right after I had my surgery. She told me that we had, it was, I can't remember exactly, but it was 14 or 16 days to be out of Ronnie's house. And I asked her, what about the lease back? And she said that option was no longer available. When I saw the house, this house, it was listed at 2,028 square feet.
So we put a contract on the house. We were trying to negotiate it, and they were asking a lot for the house. First, we told the agent we thought they were asking way too much. And we were arguing back and forth to the price, and we finally got them down to like $240,000. But you got to remember, at the same time frame, she's telling us that we have to be in a contract within 6 days, or we're going to become home renters versus home owners. So we actually had more undue stress on us trying to get into this house and get it closed. So she made the offer. It went to the mortgage company. The mortgage company hired their appraiser to come out. He came out and did the appraisal. The appraisal came back that it did not appraise for the $240,000. It came back that it appraised at $231,000.
At this time, the listing agent was actually emailing our loan officer, specifically asking him, is it the square footage?
She actually asked, she said, what did the appraiser have for gross living area? Is a question that she posed to our mortgage broker. Our mortgage broker replied back to her saying that the appraiser had 2,209. Is that incorrect? And it was appraised because he did count the sunroom as part of the gross living area, when actually it's not part of the gross living area, it's part of the gross building area, which is separate from the gross living area.
So after we moved into the house, we started noticing the moisture, the condensation coming up through the floors of the sunroom.
As well as during the heat of the day, the building would get hot enough that it would actually expand enough that the roof would separate from the wall by 1/4 inch.
The sellers indicated that their children were napping in the afternoon, and so we needed to look at the house earlier in the daytime. And to me, it seems like they know we would have realized how uncomfortable the temperature of this room was if we had come at a different time.
So I started looking into researching the codes to find out what was compliant, what was not compliant, what I could do as a homeowner to bring it to compliance. And when I did, I came across the International Building Codes, and it just spelled out the fact that in order for a room to be considered gross livable area or livable space, it has to be heated and cooled, and has to be able to maintain a temperature of 68 degrees at 3 feet off the ground. So it doesn't specifically say anything about cooling, but it specifically says heating. So there's no heat source in this room. We have a buyer's agency agreement with her, and it's signed. It's a legal binding contract, so she had a fiduciary duty to disclose any known defects to us. And she chose to keep that known defect to herself, not telling us, which therefore giving the home sellers an unfair market advantage due to the undisclosed square footage. So in reality, although she had a contract with us, she was working more towards taking care of the sellers versus us as her clients.
So after we discovered that there was a 450 square foot difference between what Travis County had on record and what the listing agent had listed this home to be, and we realized we had overpaid for this house, we hired a real estate attorney to hopefully try and help us recover some of the financial damage that was done to us. He came and he inspected the property. He looked at the room in question, and he was very confident that we had a solid case. So he took us on as clients. We went through a year and a half of discovery, almost 2 years of discovery for the lawsuit, and we were told all along the way that a jury of our peers would probably really relate, sympathize with us, understand, how we felt, and that this was a great case for a jury. So that was where we thought we would end up, is in a courtroom with a jury. And that didn't happen. We found out that there was going to be a summary judgment and that we could lose this in a summary judgment, although our attorney felt very confident that we wouldn't lose, because he says the only way you can lose a summary judgment is if you absolutely do not have a case. You have to have no case whatsoever. He believed that we did. So we were advised not to be at the summary judgment, so we didn't go. And we found out that there was no court reporter there. So we don't know what happened. But all I know is, I think it was about 3 days after the summary judgment, I was, shopping with my mom, and I got a phone call from my attorney. And he said we lost. He said we lost the case, and the defense was granted on everything they asked for. They got everything we brought the suit forward. The reasons that we brought the suit forward, they were all denied, every last one of them. And they countersued us. They sued us for a frivolous lawsuit, but without there being a court reporter and without us being present, there's no transcripts. We don't know what happened. We don't know what was said. We don't know why we lost. We still don't know why we lost. So,
sometime during the discovery period, it was brought up by their attorney that, according to the county, they had a report from Travis County that said that they have not been back to the house to remeasure the house since 1974, and that the addition was done afterwards, so it wasn't on the county records. At that point in time, I went down and requested the county to come back and remeasure my home. As a homeowner, I can do that because they won't measure until the springtime. Well, they came early in the fall, I think it was in September, right after our summary judgment, and did the measurement. And the county, again, still said that this room is an enclosed finished porch. It is not gross living area. We do not tax it as gross living area. Also, during this time frame, the real estate company hired a professional appraiser to come in and give them a report. And he wrote a report saying that, in his opinion, that it should be counted as gross living area. So I took his report and I took it to the Texas Appraisal Certification and Licensing Board and filed a complaint against him, saying that he came in and he used his professional knowledge and said that this house and this room is considered gross living area. The Appraisal Certification Board sent 3 investigators to our home. The 3 gentlemen all agreed that the room should not be counted as gross living area and should not have been put on the appraisal as such. They wrote this appraiser a warning saying it's not counted as gross living area, you need to be more careful in the future, we're just going to give you a warning this time and dismiss this complaint. Well, the funny thing is the same appraiser had a similar complaint in June of 2011, almost a year to date, for ethic violations and USPAP violations, which is the standard for appraising of the house. So this guy's a repeat offender, and he used his professional qualities and standards in a court of law, saying that this room was gross living area, which was used against us, and he gets a warning.
So what we would like to see out of this is hopefully an investigation of some sort. We are really hoping for maybe a media investigation, an investigative report that people can be warned and they can see that this can happen to them. I think that's very important, because I can't believe that we are the only Travis County home buyers who have been victimized like this. I don't feel like our case is unique. The gentleman who conducted the investigation for us said this stuff is happening a lot with appraisers. But for us, it goes deeper than a bad appraisal. We feel like we were failed by our real estate agent, the listing agent. They're both from the same company. Our loan officer, he worked with a company that was partnered with the real estate agents. We didn't know that. So here we've got, this question. Are the consumers supposed to be as knowledgeable as the real estate agents, as the appraisers, as their lawyers? At this point, these people are getting paid, and they're getting paid well, and they're getting paid to protect you, and they're getting paid to look after you. And when they don't, and they fail you, and you try to get back your damages, they can turn around and sue you for trying. I've got a problem with that. So at this point, this isn't just for us anymore. This is for consumers in general. This stuff has to stop, and that's where we're at. We're hoping somebody will investigate.